After a couple of big days on my bike recently, one on that longest day ride and the other one bike packing with Blake, it's reminding me just how important it is to be comfortable on your bike. Things like lower back pain or shoulder pain can really ruin a ride, so this is how to get comfortable on your bike. Firstly, this does depend an awful lot on the type of bike you're riding and the type of riding you do. For example, a cross country or a marathon bike, you can spend an awful lot of time sat down pedaling on those bikes. Whereas an enduro bike, you can spend a similar amount of time, but a lot more time stood up and pedaling. Whereas a downhill bike, most of your time will be stood up. So let's start with a cross country bike, and bike fit tends to be a really big factor when it comes to comfort. Cross-country bikes tend to be pretty conventionally sized. By that, I mean having followed that trend of trail bikes of getting longer, slacker and lower, and the reach really increasing. So you really just need to buy that frame that fits your height. So the best way of finding that is really to go to the manufacturer's website or go to your local bike shop. Hopefully they'll be able to help you out there. You can also tweak the size of your bike with things like the seat post. So I've recently gone from a lay-back seat post, which did give me a lot of room, to a straight-up post, just to make my riding position a little bit more upright, a little bit more comfortable. So often these things are a toss-up between speed and comfort. Yes, a long, low, aggressive cross-country stem could be faster, but it's probably going to be less comfortable. So back to the enduro bike or the trail bike. So these really do benefit from having a shorter stem. Generally 60mm, 50 on this bike. It's just going to bring your weight further back on the bike, which is going to help you out for going downhill. But it can lead to lower back pain, especially if you're stood for a long amount of time. Now this doesn't always come down to something you can change with bike setup. Often it comes down to body conditioning. The stronger core muscles you have, the less you'll find you get back pain in my experience. Bar width can also play a part in comfort. So if you go for super wide bars, something like 800mm, actually because you're spreading your hands wider, you can actually bring your weight further forward onto the bars. So arm pump can be a problem if you've got too much weight going through your hands and onto the bars. So your forearms will get pumped up and you find it really hard to ride technical terrain. So really in that case, try and think about moving some of your weight off your arms and back onto your legs, so you've got bigger muscles there that will be able to deal with that rough terrain. And that can be as simple as by trying to raise your bars a little bit by adding a couple of spaces underneath. Now to the contact points on the bike: grips, saddle and pedals. With grips, you've got loads of options on the market, from shape, materials to touch, to suit all different types of riding and different size hands. From the cross-country grips that are silicone foam that they all love, to the bigger ergon grips, those big pads that really spread out the pressure for those marathon rides. Thicker or thinner grips, you've got these asymmetric grips that really fit the ergonomics of your hand. It's actually a component that's really improved over the last few years. It's probably gone unnoticed. You've got so many different options, you're going to have to find one that really suits you. You can get loads of different glove options as well, from thicker or thinner padding on the palm. So it's all about comfort, but again, it comes down to protection. So I rarely ride without gloves. Even though my hands are tough enough from years of riding, it's not uncomfortable to ride without them. I just want that protection when I do fall off. Personally, I like to get a good grip and then go for a glove with a really thin palm on it, just so I get a good feel on the grip. Some riders go without gloves at all, but it's the first thing you put down when you fall off, so you've got to be wary about that. Saddles come in all different shapes and sizes, with cutouts, without cutouts, male, female, to suit different size bodies. Research and testing will help you to find the perfect saddle. You don't need to sit in discomfort. One of the biggest mistakes people make is to buy a bigger, more padded saddle if they find it uncomfortable. That isn't always a way to do it. Don't forget the padded shorts are also really important. I don't ride without them. And yes, the premium ones are worth it if you're in the saddle for a long time. Pedals can make a difference as well. Flat pedals are pretty standard, so you shouldn't find them too uncomfortable. But you can get different size pedals and crank brothers to suit different size feet. With clips, often it's down to cleat placement or shoes that can make it uncomfortable. Although with bigger pedals like the enduro or downhill pedals, you can get more support through the sole of your foot. If you're suffering from calf pain, this can often be because you've got your cleats too far forward in your shoes. Because what it does is actually tips you a bit toe down, and it really brings your weight through the back of your calf, so that can really lead to some pumping or some pain. So just slide your cleats back in your shoes. It's going to make your foot a bit more flatter on the pedal, and it should be less painful. Foot pain is often down to the way your shoe fits, and it could be pressurising different parts of your foot. So make sure you get a snug pair of shoes that isn't too tight. I also know that some manufacturers like Northwave actually offer their shoes in a standard and wider option. Lower back pain can be really frustrating, so really try and think about improving your core muscles, but also your saddle height can make a difference. If it's too high, your hips will rock side to side when you're sat down pedaling, and that again can lead to some lower back pain. Knee pain is most common with riders who use clipless pedals. So again, I would check your cleat position to make sure they're nice and straight and symmetrical left and right shoe. And personally, as a rider with bad knees, I like to use pedals that have a lot of float. So there's some tips to try and deal with some of the most common discomforts on a bike, but it's not a sofa. You will find that some things you can't get rid of. Personally, I get a pain in between my shoulders and my knees if I'm just sat there riding for a couple of big days back to back, but it's worth it, of course. If you want to see a video of me riding my bike for 14 hours and 40 minutes, click over there for the longest ride. Give us a thumbs up if you like GMBN and hit that sub button.